So lap 55, they're clearing the car of Latifi. And actually, I think the marshals did a really good job. Fundamentally here, if Mercedes thought that there would be another lap of racing at the end of this Grand Prix, I think they would have pitted Hamilton and maybe given up the track position, because Verstappen would have been on the used hard tyre and Lewis would have had a chance to pass him, and it would have been role reversed. But I think Mercedes probably were a little bit worried about the race finishing under safety car, in which case if you pit Lewis and he just finishes second because Max doesn't pit, he wouldn't have pitted, then you look really silly to have given up the race when it finishes under safety car.
Hamilton stays out. Verstappen coming into the pits. There's a set of soft tyres waiting for him.
What's the situation behind me?
So the situation is Verstappen has pitted. He had a free pit stop. We would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining when you cross the line. So this field has to bunch, and then they have to send lap cars through. So it may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be.
With new tyres?
Copy Lewis. We would have lost track position if we had pitted.
But the marshals here did a great job to clear Latifi's car very quickly. This is lap 55 of 58, and they're getting the car already off the track. The leaders are still coming around the middle sector, and it's just now about clearing the bits of debris you can see would have flown back onto the track from this crash. So at this point, as we go on to lap 56, I thought there was probably this was the time to let the lap cars go through, which is usually what happens when the safety car is out. That at some point the lap cars go through, is what we're used to now, and then the leaders are all there together. You have all the top guys with the lap cars rejoining the pack. They don't have to catch the back of the pack. That's not in the rules, but they are let go. Now, they don't have to be let go either. They can be, at the race director's discretion, they can be left in the pack, but it's not what we've seen for a very long time since this rule was introduced. Pretty much they're always let go through. And I thought this would be the time now for them to be sent through onto lap 56, which would give us probably a racing lap with Max on his soft tyres right behind Lewis at the end. The marshals are still sweeping the track, so it's a bit of a marginal call. But first of all, we get the call, lap cars will not be allowed to overtake. Now, this is huge, because at this point, that's Hamilton's championship. There's no way that with 5 lap cars between Hamilton and Verstappen, Max could clear them all and then fight Lewis on the final lap. It's just not going to happen. As quick as he would be on his soft tyres, he'll lose far too much time in the traffic, and he's going to start a long way behind Lewis as well on the final lap as well, don't forget. With 5 lap cars in between, you put half a second between each of them, that's quite tight for a restart, and he's already going to be sort of 2.5, 3 seconds back before he's even made it through the lap cars. So this is basically where the race director is in control of the championship. It's a horrible place to be for Michael Masi, because his decision at this point will decide the championship. Nicholas Latifi's had the crash in the Williams, which has meant that this unlucky circumstance for Lewis, as it turns out, is going to come up. But either way, it's a really tricky one for Michael Masi, who's put on the spot right at the end. And the initial decision is lap cars will not overtake. But then, the next lap round, lap cars are then allowed to overtake. And I think it's that delay there that's caused a little bit of the angst, because then it's all a bit rushed in the final lap. The lap cars go through and the race is restarted all in quite a hurry. And that's what Mercedes are not very happy about. So looking through all of this, was there a chance that the lap cars could have been let through a lap earlier, lap 56, rather than the first initial message where they were told they couldn't go through? That would have solved all the complaints if possible. Maybe it would have required the marshals to coordinate the sweeping of the track right at the end in a way to allow the lap cars to come through first and then get the job done. That would have meant that the end of the race was as it was, really, between the top 2, and the championship would have been decided as it was. In the end, the delay and then the confusion and the reversal of the decision on the final lap is the really contentious point. Of course, there was a red flag option available to Michael Masi as well when Latifi crashed his car, but to be honest, the crash was not huge from Latifi, and it was cleared, as we've seen, pretty quickly by the marshals. All in all, tough decision for Michael Masi. Mercedes not very happy about it. They've protested, and you can sort of see their grounds for it. Red Bull are happy. They think that the FIA did the right job. There's definitely arguments for either side. In the end, is there a get-out clause for Michael Masi and the race director? It was obviously a highly stressful time for him.
Michael on race control room.
Go ahead, Toto.
You need to reinstate the lap before. That's not right.
Toto?
Yes.
It's called a motor race, okay?
Sorry?
We went to car racing.
Toto Wolff is absolutely furious and is now walking out of the back of the garage, and nobody, I think, wants to say a word to the Mercedes team principal.
What you have to say is, from the point of view of the spectacle here, having a one-lap showdown between the top two at the end was absolutely fantastic to see, and it's sort of been forgotten in the melee of the safety car stuff as well. But the final lap of the final race of the season, you have the top two level on points in the championship. It was really incredible stuff to see. So here we go then, last lap, and this is how the championship was decided. Hamilton sweeping through, used hard tyres, and Max Verstappen on his new soft tyres right behind. And Daniel Ricciardo has the perfect view of this. Maybe he was happy that he wasn't allowed to go through, because it gave him the view of the century in Formula One terms, watching all this unfold in the McLaren, who's a lap down behind. We get to turn 5, and basically Max just sends it again on the inside of Lewis and takes the lead of the race right there at the first possible opportunity. On board with Max, and you can see the determination straight away to try and come through on the inside at the first chance. Now Lewis once again leaves a huge space to the inside of the track. There's no hint of defence. He's obviously thinking at this point that Max is not going to go for the move. I wasn't thinking Max would go for the move here. It's not the obvious place to go for a move. I don't think anyone passed there in the whole race. But it's a chance for Max. It's a really wide corner. It's open. And as you see, he dives to the inside, gets it stopped, is alongside Lewis already, and there's a huge amount of space still on the outside at this point as well. So it's a legitimate pass. I think Lewis wasn't really expecting it to come there. I think Lewis thought that the move would come on the exit here with the long straight and the grip of Max's soft tyres to try and basically propel him down with good traction to the more obvious overtaking place. But Max didn't wait for it. He went for it at the first possible opportunity into turn 5, took the lead, and it was crucial actually. I think this was the right decision. Clearly it was the right decision for Max, because it gives him the chance to just cover the inside, and we know how difficult he is to pass when you're on the outside. On board with Lewis then, and you can see, again, checking the mirrors, and Max has taken a dive. Lewis is really far out wide here, and he's given the option for Max to dive up the inside. He hasn't covered the inside. Now I think if Lewis covers the inside, obviously Max can go outside, and then Lewis is either going to be risked past around the outside, or he's going to be in big trouble on the next straight. Maybe he could cover the inside, maybe not. But either way, Max has the inside here. Lewis, again, has to back out of it, has to steer out, which means he's slightly further back at this point. Max does his weaving on the back straight. It's a little bit naughty. He's had a black and white warning flag for this in Brazil, but on the final lap goes for it again. It's not the end of the world, really, and Lewis keeps in the slipstream and makes Max defend into this corner, turn 6. Max goes in slightly deep, and it gives us one final shot down to turn 9, the tougher of the two overtaking places, but Lewis again has momentum, picks up a big slipstream and goes for it. So there's not really space on the inside. There's no space at all without going off track to make this move for Lewis. Max has absolutely covered the inside here. So Lewis goes for the outside, and it's so marginal at this point. Max is squeezing him all the way, again really risking it and hanging Lewis out to the outside. You can see the right front there for Lewis is up on the curb, which is not ideal as well. It's pretty flat curb, but it's just ever so slightly raised as well at this point, and there's a little bit less grip out there. So basically, there's nothing he can do. And Max, on his soft tyres then, has the grip to just get away. Crucial few corners for all the safety car shenanigans and everything else. Max still had to deliver the overtake with basically 2 or 3 overtaking chances on the lap, and he took it at that first one, possibly catching Lewis slightly unawares, thinking that he wouldn't go for it at turn 5. Max, never willing to back out of a move, sent it as soon as possible, and won the championship.
Oh my Lord, Max! Oh my God!
Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God!
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
Well, that was a look at the controversial but then dramatic finish to the Formula One season, but there's so much more action through that race as well. Bit of drama at the start, some epic defence from Sergio Perez as well that created the drama at the end, so check that out on F1 TV.